Hi guys, this is Robin. Today I'll be showing you the pattern that I designed for a lightweight cabled sweater. You can find this pattern on Ravelry at Spin Crochet Repeat and also on Etsy at Spin Crochet Repeat RCC. You can find this video on YouTube or on Rumble at Spin Crochet Repeat RCC. And you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Robin's Crocheted Creations. I wanted this sweater to be lightweight, not too bulky, not too heavy. And so I chose this Yarn Bee 44th Street yarn. It is a lightweight 2-ply yarn. Has a little bit of a shine to it, but it's also really soft. It suggests using 3.75 millimeter knitting needles or a 4.5 meter crochet hook. I personally will be using a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. I wanted the stitches to be close together and well defined. So that's one of the great things about creating things like this. You can alter it, do a little bit as you please. This sweater is designed to be worked in pieces and then assembled. It is supposed to fit snug but not really tight, and it is designed to reach past the hip. However, if you want it to be shorter or longer, again, you can change that as you please. This will impact the yardage that you need. I believe I bought 6 cakes of this yarn, and so far I believe this is the 3rd one. So and I have at this point only made one of the body panels and one of the sleeves. So there are some measurements that are required to make this sweater, and because of that and because of the cabled stitching, I'm calling this an intermediate sweater. I am a firm believer that if I can figure it out, anyone can figure it out, and so don't let that intimidate you. For this sweater, you will need to measure your wrist and add 1 inch. You will need to measure from shoulder to wrist and across the widest part of your body. You will also need to measure from shoulder to mid-thigh, or whatever your desired length may be. What we're going to start on today is with the measurement that you measure across your body. Now, because we are working in panels, we only need that single measurement. If we were working in the round, we would need to double that, or to get a full measurement around the fullest part of your body. But I like to make things simple, so we're going to be working with just one panel. For me, the fullest measurement was 25 inches. So we're going to be taking that 25 inches and multiplying by 5 stitches per inch. This gave me 120 stitches. I will also chain 5 more for the border plus 2 for turning. So that gives me a total of 125 stitches plus 2 for turning. If you will notice here, I have 5 stitches, and then the cable is worked over 10 stitches. And this repeats across the body. We have 5 stitches here on either end, and that is what I call the border. Because we start with the border, we only need to add the 5 at the end to get the ending border. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this next part of the panel. I'm going to take my yarn and create a slip stitch. And begin working the chains across. When I get to 125, we'll begin the next step. After you have crocheted your base chain, for me that was 125, however many you need according to your measurements, remember to add 2, and then we are going to yarn over and crochet into 1, 2, 3, the third one from your hook. Now, I will say the only drawback I have found about this yarn is that, if you can see, it is fuzzy, which adds to the softness, but it also can cause it to stick to itself, especially if you go to pulling stitches out, say you miscounted or missed one. So I would say to be careful and double check your measurements, double check your stitch calculations before you get started. I guess this would be the crocheter's version of measure twice, cut once. When I get all the way across, as I'm going to double crochet all the way across, I will then chain 2 and do another row of double crochet all the way across. After that, we will begin cabling. See you then. Now that we have done 2 rows of double crochet, we're going to chain 2, turn our work, double crochet 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to begin our first cabled section. The cable will be worked over the next 10 stitches. We've been double crocheting, and now we're going to triple crochet. Typically this would give you a taller stitch, but because it's being stretched out over a wide area, it's still going to keep your row about the same height as the double crochet stitches. So we're going to yarn over twice. We're going to skip the next 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to front post triple crochet. So we're going to not go into the hole here. We're going to go behind this double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop. This is what it should look like. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. We're going to do 4 more, the next 4 with a front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, go behind the double crochet from the previous row, yarn over, pull a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll do this 3 more times. Until we have 5 triple crochets in a row. Now we want this first cable to what I call twist to the left, or look like it is twisting to the left. No, it would be twisting to the right. Sorry about that. So we're going to yarn over twice. We're going to go back and pick up these 5 stitches that we skipped. Because we want it to curve to the right, we're going to go behind this section that we've already done, come up in this gap. We're going to hook through the top of this double crochet from our second row, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do that for each of the other 4 stitches that we skipped. So yarn over twice, come into this gap, go through the top of the double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And if you say that fast enough, it gets really difficult. So I'm going to do this 3 more times to finish up this part of the cabling. Just 1 more. Okay, and there we go. You can see that there's a twisted look to this. We're going to jump past the front post double crochets that we did and come over to our next double crochet from the last row, and we're going to double crochet in it and the next 4 stitches. Okay, that is our first little cable set. We're going to repeat the next section of cable and continue to do this all the way across. I'll show you one more time through this, and then I will come back when I get to the end of this row so I can show you how to go back the other way and keep all of your cabling stitches pushed to the front. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to yarn over twice, go behind this stitch so that we get a front post triple crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll do 4 more front post triple crochets. This makes 3. This makes 4. And this makes 5. Again, we have our gap over here where we skip those 5 stitches. We're going to go behind our work, come back behind it to make our twist curve to the right. So we're going to yarn over twice, come behind your work, grab that first double crochet that we skipped, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, and I think one more time. Just pull through 2 until you get to there's only one left. We're going to repeat that again. Yarn over twice, go back and pick up your stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to repeat that 3 more times to finish up the 5 skipped stitches. Okay, and if you turn your work around here, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. It's a good way to check your work before going further. And then we're going to double crochet in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, I've done something crazy here. Let me fix this real quick. Okay, so 3, 4, and 5. And typically you would finish your row repeating the cables and the border or kind of gap, double crochets, whatever you like to call them. I'm going to go ahead and chain 2 and turn, just so that as if I were at the end of the row, just so that I can show you what to do next. You're going to chain 2 and turn, double crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now there's no twisting or anything here. It's going to be double crochets. However, we are going to do what's called a back post double crochet. And when you are working along the back of a cable, you are going to work into the stitches that you get to first, which would be the ones that we just did along the back side. It's not going to be the first set of 5 that we reached way over to get. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to tuck behind and then back through. So this is what it will look like on the other side. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do this again, yarn over, tuck under and back out, and then finish the double crochet. Yarn over, go behind, loop in front of, and then back out, yarn over, pull through, and double crochet. Do that 2 more times. One more. Now we're going to get to the what was our front post triple crochets. We're going to yarn over and do the same. This will kind of help fill in this gap here. It will pull all the stitches in closer. We're going to go in from behind, back out, pull up a loop, double crochet as usual. I think that makes 3, yep, and 4 and 5, and then we're going to double crochet in the tops of the next 5 stitches. Okay, and that is what it will look like from behind. It still looks like it's a little wobbly looking. This is how it will look from the front. It's beginning to kind of smooth out. You can see, I guess you would call them the layers, as the stitches lie over one another, that the cable is going to twist this way. And once you finish these 2 rows, we will work our next 2 rows of the cable stitching. When you finish those 2 rows, you're going to do as usual, chain 2 for turning, double crochet in your 5 double crochets that outline each set of cables. Nowhere in this pattern does the chain 2 count as your first double crochet. The next 2 rows are fairly simple after you've done the triple crochet row and with the front post and the back post double crochet across. We're going to front post double crochet the next 10. This will help to flatten our cable. So we're going to yarn over behind the double crochet of the last row, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do that in the next 9 until we have done all 10 stitches of the cable like this. And when you get to this part, it may feel like one is hiding behind here, so make sure that you don't skip a stitch. Okay, and that will make 10, and we're going to double crochet in the next 5. And you would do this all the way across the row. I'm going to stop here, chain 2 and turn as if I had finished the row and was going back across again. So double crochet 5 in the tops of each double crochet from the previous row. It will be like this all the way to the top of the panel. And that makes 5. Now we're going to back post double crochet in the next 10. So yarn over, come from behind, and go back out to the back around the first double crochet from the last row, yarn over, and finish off your double crochet as usual. From behind, and it may help you to come in from behind and almost push down lightly that stitch to make sure that you only get one, and make sure that you get yourself plenty of room to get your needle through and yarn over and pull it through without getting anything tangled. And then we will finish off this section of 10. You'll notice that you can see there's an edge here different than there is here, and that's because we are working around the previous stitch. So it's pushing the top part that looks like a chain, it's pushing it back, and that can help you keep track if you were to lose count, like I just did. So that one's number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, and number 10, and then double crochet in the next 5. And this is how it will look. This is your first set of cables. You'll repeat these 4 rows 2 more times so that you end up with a section of cable that looks like this. See, it curves to the right, as if it were winding around itself. Then we'll do 10 rows of front post and back post double crochets to keep this section with the cables in it standing out away from the flat double crochets, what I have been calling the border and gap stitches. You can see how they lay flatter because when we go around those stitches it pushes them out. This is what the back looks like. You can see those ridges and the fuzzes that I apparently picked up. You can see those ridges as you go across where we're pushing those stitches back. And that's the cable section, and here's the 10 rows. It will be 1 row of double crochet 5, then front post double crochet 10, and when you turn it will be double crochet 5 stitches, then back post double crochet 10 stitches, and you'll repeat that 5 times and you'll end up with a 10 row section that looks like this. When you have finished that, we will then begin on the next cabling section, because I have the design to change directions each time we get to a new cabling section. So you can see we twist to the right here, we go up straight, and then we're going to twist back again to the left. We will get to that part next. Okay, so now that we have finished our first set of cables and our set of 10 rows. We are going to reverse the twist, like I said before. From the right, we will now twist to the left. And I'll show you how to do that right now. We're going to chain 2, double crochet 5, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just like before, when we did the cable here, we're going to skip our next 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to yarn over twice. We're going to go behind the 6th stitch to make a front post triple crochet. That's a tongue twister. We're going to yarn over, pull through once for a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll do that for the next 4 stitches for a total of 5. Now this is the same up to this point, but how we change direction is based on whether we work in front to pick up those 5 skipped stitches or behind. When we had it twisting to the right, I kind of imagine it doing this. So twisting to the right, we went behind our skipped stitches to pick up the others. To reverse the twist, we're going to work in front. So again, with a triple crochet, we're going to yarn over twice, and I'm going to get a little closer to try to make sure you can see this good. We're going to work in the top of that first stitch, and we're going to be working, it's going to get kind of tight because we're going to be working in this gap here, but just take your time and have patience. We're going to work in the top, push from front to back, and then back up through the gap, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and again. We're going to close this gap up as we go. So these first few stitches are the easiest to get to. And we're going to repeat this until we have picked up all 5 of the skipped stitches. And there's that last one. And then we will double crochet into the next 5 as usual. There we are. Now it's kind of hard to see at this point, but our first 5 that we skipped down here ended up being pulled to the front, and here they are pushed to the back behind these. So this has set the twist to go in a different direction. I'm going to act as though I have gotten to the end of the row. You would of course repeat this across the rest of the row, otherwise you're going to have a very strange looking sweater. But I'm going to chain 2 and act as though I have gotten to the end of the row and I'm working back across for the next row. You'll double crochet 5, one more, and then you will back post double crochet into the next 10. Now because this has twisted around this way, we work into the first set that we get to, in case you're kind of wondering, where do I start with this? Because at this point it's kind of doubled up on itself. You're going to need to, if it will help you to picture it, kind of stretch it out a little bit like that so that you can see where you're working. We're going to yarn over, come from behind, push through to where we have that stitch caught on our hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then double crochet. Do that for the next 5, or the next 4, till you have a total of these 5 that we worked across the front to pick up. These were our skipped stitches. Okay, and now we will come back and pick up these front post triple crochets. Do the same to yarn over, come in from behind, and push through to catch the chain, or the double crochet rather, from the last row. Yarn over and double crochet as normal, and then when you have finished that, you double crochet in the next 5. And at the end of your row, chain 2 and turn your work. And you can see the difference in the twist. Now again, you'll finish this out as how it's written in the pattern. You'll end up with 3 twists that go to the left. You'll do 10 more rows, and then you will reverse twist again. All of this is noted in the pattern. And as I believe I've said before, you can continue repeating this to make the length how you would like. If you want a shorter sweater, you would repeat these things less. If you want a longer sweater, of course, you would repeat them more. And that is left up to your discretion and your desire for how you want your sweater. But once you get to where you want to end, we're going to taper off at the end. I wanted a nice end to the, I say end, it would be the top. I wanted something nice at the top to finish it. And honestly, had I thought of it, I would have started the sweater coming up from a point and then working back to a point here at the top. But you live, you learn, and I might do that in the next one. So after you have finished your last set of cable, you will do, oh, let me find it. I'm looking at my pattern here because I don't want to tell you wrong. You're going to finish off your cable section as normal with, you'll do your skip 5 and all that, and then your last 2 rows where you have just double crochet, and you're going to end up about here. Your next row coming across, instead of 10 front post double crochets, you will only do 8, which means you will begin with, it can be hard to see, I apologize. You will double crochet 6, front post double crochet 8, double crochet 7, all the way across till you get to the end, and then you will double crochet in your final 6. You'll reverse, you'll turn your work and do the same except back post double crochets. Your next row coming up will be double crochet 7, front post double crochet 6, and then double crochet 9. So it will widen out the flat part here and narrow in the raised portion. Then we will then go down to 4 front post double crochets, then 2, and then you will end up over here with the correct side of your work facing you. So when you turn to do this last row, this is the only place where there are any decreases in this pattern, and you will double crochet 4 and then double crochet 2 together, and this just kind of tightens up the top around the collar just a little bit. I didn't want anything too tight, but I didn't want it ruffly either. Didn't want it kind of rippling like this as you wore it. So this just helps to finish off, give a little bit more of a finished edge. And that will be your, the body of this. You'll need to make 2. And of course I would pick a color that shows every little bit of fuzz that there is in the world, but that's okay. That's why we have lint rollers. So now I'm going to begin showing you how to work on the sleeve. This is a little more detailed, I guess you'd say. And before we go to that, I just want to show kind of what I mean with these measurements. For the sleeve, as I said before, you will need to measure around your wrist, and you will need to add 1 inch. You will need to measure from wrist to shoulder, and you will also need to measure around the widest part of your arm. Now typically this is going to be from below your armpit to your shoulder. If that is different for you, then I would just whatever the widest part of your arm is, because again, this sweater is designed to fit snugly but not tightly. We want it to be comfortable and not have any annoying scratchy areas. But for this measurement, you will also need to add 1 inch. We want to have plenty of room to be able to put this on, take it off, and again, be able to move and not irritate or feel constricted. And certainly after all this work, we don't want to do anything that would rip or damage or stretch any of our work. So for me, my wrist measurement here was it was 6 inches, and so I will add 1 inch to equal 7 inches. Now, again, like before, we will chain 5 for every inch. So 7 times 5 is 35. I'm also going to add 5 stitches to make it a multiple of 10. You will need to, whatever your measurement is, make it into a multiple of 10. If it, say your wrist measurement was 7 and you added an inch, that would make it 8. 8 times 5 is 40, so you're already at a multiple of 10. And then you're going to need to add 2 chains for turning. So my starting chain will be 42 chains. Now in this, we are only going to have 1 cable. Everything else is worked flat. And we start it just as we did the body portion, where we chain the amount that we need and then do 2 rows of double crochet. There are not going to be any decreases in the sleeve. I'm going to try to zoom out a bit, and as you can see, it goes up to be much wider than you begin with, and then it evens out here. We want to do enough increases throughout this to where this part equals the measurement for the widest inch, or the widest measurement of your arm plus 1 inch. So we add 5 stitches every 5 rows. This first row had 42. The second row had 42. The third, fourth, and fifth rows all, or 40, I'm sorry, because I was counting my turning chain. They all had 40. 15 worked on either side, and the 10 in the middle having the cable work done. On row 6, I began with and all of this is noted in the pattern, I began with 2 double crochets in the first stitch. I double crocheted across 13. My pattern says I was on the back, so I back post double crocheted 10. Right after, I'm sorry, the first 2, I did 2 double crochets in each. So that increased my row by 2 there. After the cable work, I double crocheted in the first stitch to increase it by another. And then at the end of the row, I did 2 double crochets in the last 2 stitches, which increased my row by 5 stitches, or by 1 inch. So every 5 rows, we're going to increase this by 1 inch. So you can follow that formula. If your arm is longer, you can continue to increase every 5 rows. I got to where it was wide enough for my arm here, and so I stopped my increases and just double crocheted across with my cable work as normal. And just like at the top of the body panel, I did the tapering off of the cable work where it comes to a point. This point would match up when you are assembling this with the seam for your body panels. So it would look something like this. And of course this would then curve around to make the sleeve. If your arm is, the increases should work, but everyone is different. So the increases should work to where you find a point where you have met the measurement for the widest part of your arm. If you need to make those increases more frequent so that this gets wider faster, then I would suggest going to increasing every 4 rows, potentially every 3 rows if that was needed. And when we go to, again, we'll make 2 of these, and when we go to assemble it, we're not going to sew this around because we want to make sure it's proportional with the rest of the sweater. And I have found when it comes to assembling sweaters that it is easiest to start from the bottom to where everything is lined up. You would put right sides together so that the wrong sides are facing out, and you would whip stitch all the way up. You want to make sure your whip stitches are even, not too tight but not too loose, and you would put them together all the way up until you get to a sleeve portion. If you think you're getting close, I'm going to say maybe 2/3 of the way up, and then I would pause there. You're going to fold your sleeve in half, kind of lay it at a 90-degree angle. Again, put that point of that design at the top. Once you have this here, I would suggest taking some scrap yarn and loosely tying these, or maybe some stitch markers or safety pins to hold your place. You will run the seam along here. So before I mess y'all up completely, I should have folded this wrong sides out. I should have done that. And this is also why I say to leave a tail, because you can use this to help tie in to hold your place. You would again whip stitch along one edge of the sleeve, and then along the back edge and the other panel. Once you get here, you can then kind of tie these 2 corners of the sleeve together. You'll have your armhole, and before you go any further, I would suggest putting your arm through this, making sure the armhole is big enough. If it is not, then you don't want to have your sweater all put together and it not be able to be worn. So then you can undo these whip stitches, maybe add a couple more rows, and try it again. Then you can run whip stitches down the sleeve, again not too tight. You want to just catch the edges until you get down to the bottom, and then repeat for the other sleeve. Also, once you have your sleeves on, it should have your body panels totally lined up with one another, and you can again, do whip stitches. Start here at the corner where you will have your 2 body panels together while it's still inside out, and whip stitch in 15 to 20 stitches more if you want the neckline to be more closed, and less if you want it to be more open. I will caution you that if you go less than 15 to 20 stitches, you're not going to have too much on your shoulder, and it might not wear the same as it would if you had gone a little further in on that seam. So that is it. I appreciate all of you spending the time listening and learning, and I hope that you are able to make a sweater that you absolutely love. This again can be done with any similar weight yarn if this kind of yarn is not available in your area, and it can be made in any color. One thing that I thought of after making this is how interesting it would be to use a plain color yarn and then run a variegated yarn up the cable work, or vice versa, with variegated here and the plain color here. So that may be something that I try for the next one also. Again, this is Robin with Robin's Crocheted Creations and Spin, Crochet, Repeat, and I hope you all have a great day.